it changes the teachers. You know, when you do it first, my school teacher friends in England tell me that it's unbearable. They say, what's unbearable? So just stand at the back of the class and not say something. And I'm itching to say, keep quiet and this and that. But it's not at all, it's unbearable. And then over a period of months, they start to change. And they get to that state where I showed you the earlier slide of, you go there, I'll go with you. But then, close to the end, what about the system? We're in the middle of a system. England is in the middle of a system. Most countries are. A few of them have disbanded the system, but most of the systems look like this. Isn't it? At the end of the whole thing is the exam. So you're all familiar with this, the invigilator walking up and down the hall and you're alone. Don't look left, don't look right, don't talk to anybody, no question of the internet. Answer the questions. So where did it come from? Well, when I'm in India, I live in Calcutta. Let me tell you, Calcutta has a lot to do with it. It came from here. Okay, 1920. The typical offices, the customs warehouses and so on. Brilliant picture, except that what they were doing out of Calcutta was selling opium to China. But these were the offices. But these were the offices. No automation, right? It was a gigantic feat of administrative engineering. You have to hand them that. You know, just done with people. How does it work? Well, we've seen it. We've still got it. Data moves on paper, written hand to hand, noted into ledgers. Instructions go by word of mouth, etc., etc. Clerks, basically clerks, an army of clerks. What does a clerk need to know? How to read and understand, how to write with a good, clean handwriting so that other clerks can read it, and how to do arithmetic in their heads, which is what you teach all your children. But then, those offices are closed down about 200 years ago. So what do you do with them? It is very, sort of obvious in my mind, but I'll show you the pictures again just to reinforce my point. Look at this, look at that. Isn't it obvious? 200 years behind. So if these are the offices that your children are going to go to, are already going to, in Bombay, in Bangalore, in Delhi, wherever, they're going to go to offices like this. Then shouldn't their assessment system look like this? What's the problem? Why do we let them do that in the shopping mall but not inside the classroom? Okay, so all that I've been telling you for this last 40 minutes was just to say, ask them and then tell them, okay, take out all your almighty phones and tell me the answer. So what we'll discuss shortly is, I feel if the other panelists will cooperate with me that that the internet should be allowed during exams. You know, I used to feel very sorry about the fact that I'm saying this but nothing's going to happen. I mean, this is so absurd that nobody's going to do it. But now I feel a lot better. You know why? Because about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I saw a newspaper thing which said, in India, saying, Army deployed before CBSE exam because 300 million children have to be searched for mobile phones. Okay, so you need the army to do that. Then, a couple of years later, similar news item, this time the administrative, the so-and-so administration has decided that all children should be searched for the presence of mobile phones and smart watches. Okay, last year in Bengal, it was again police to check for the presence of mobile phones, smart watches and Bluetooth earplugs. Okay, so now I'm very happy because next year it's going to be all children must pass through an MRI body scanner before they go into the exam. And that's when the exam system is going to collapse. You cannot keep the internet out of the exam, so we have two options. Either we let it collapse, and you've seen examples of that. Paper leak, this leak, that leak, it's all the internet. And what will we do? We will re-examine. We will, send the guys into jail. We will do all of that. Instead of the obvious answer, give them the question paper ahead of time and give them the internet and then tell them, let's see how smart you are. But that will mean a lot of work for us to make the questions like that. Maybe we'll discuss that in the afternoon. The internet should be taught as a subject in school, like physics, chemistry or math. It is the technology of our time. So if you look at the Victorians, I must hand it to them that they used to teach the latest technology of their time. And they used to allow the use of the latest technology in the exam. Do you remember those boxes we had? Compass, divider, the triangular angle measurement, protractor. Those were the machines that the Victorians used for their calculations. The engineers used them. And they let all of that inside the classroom, along with the logarithm tables. What happened to us? We just retained those compass and dividers and never changed it. So we must give them our technology and ask them our questions. Comprehension, communication and computing. I think these are the three things we need to focus on as opposed to reading, writing and arithmetic. So comprehension is a more general case of reading. Reading is one of them, but comprehending, video, comprehending music. Communication, writing being one of them, but there are so many other ways to communicate now. So communication as a general area. And computing, not like writing computer programs. Computing, to my mind, is how do you figure out the answer? So instead of saying, what is the answer to this quadratic equation, you change the question to, how would you solve this quadratic equation? I'm not interested in what the answer is. What's the best way to get to the solution? That's computing. So, I'm trying to say that we build schools so that children can live happy, healthy and useful lives. I don't think anybody can argue against that. So, each decision that you take in your school should align itself to one or the other of these three things. We don't build schools so that children can do well in their CBSE exam. Unfortunately, that's not how we often look at our schools. So we need a different kind of curriculum. I don't know what that will be. We'll talk about that in the afternoon. We need a pedagogy that's immersed in the internet. Not just that the internet is allowed, but the pedagogy should be immersive inside the internet. And an assessment which looks for heuristics. Heuristics is a computer science word for method. What's the best method for getting to the answer, not what is the answer. So we have a long way to go, but I guess we'll get there, and maybe we'll get there in the next 4 to 5 years. Because of this one factor, we will not be able to keep the internet out. And in that lies perhaps the future of learning. So that's what I had. Thank you. Well, I think we might have, yes, I think we have, let's see, if we want to start the panel by, say, 3:15? 3:15, we're just making a plan. So we've got half an hour. So suppose we do about 10-15 minutes of questions, take a little bit of a break, and then start the panel. Would that work? Okay. So that gives us time for, let's say about five questions or something. So now, does anybody have a question? I have a question right at the back over there. Yes, please. Now I don't know how to say who you are because all I can do is point. So, okay, please.
So I watched your IDEC talk, Israel, and that you were talking about assessment, and you had come up with some kind of small methodology which you had explained how what you did with the children, how you asked them using the internet, how you made them do an assessment. If you could explain a little bit more on that and how we could develop that, because that is indeed the future of assessment.
No, just the last bit again. You want me to tell you more about which part?
How to use the internet to assess it.
Okay. So how to use the internet? Well, the main way that I talked to you about was that you use the internet to answer questions or solve problems. So you have to take the students gradually. It's a good question because I forgot to tell you one thing. Don't start with questions where the children will struggle, because that will rob them of confidence. When I started in a new school, give them questions where you're absolutely sure that they'll be able to get to the answer. Something really, really fundamental, like how many times on the average does the heart beat every minute? No, it'll take them maybe 10 seconds and they'll say, "Sir, 72. And then you have to say, "My goodness, in 10 seconds you found that." And everybody's saying, yeah, very simple. Then you give the next one and the next one. So build it up until you get to the 30-minute zone. Other than that, you can use it for skill development quite well, because children today don't necessarily only search on Google. They also search on YouTube quite a lot. So, and YouTube's really good for skills. So if it was, I don't know, I tried in England once with 17-year-olds how to build a scaffolding for construction work, how to build it, using those steel rods is normally taught. So I told those guys that, okay, can you use YouTube and figure it out? And they actually did. And I have this great picture. They not only did, they made a 2-story scaffold, stood on top of it, got themselves photographed and put it on Facebook, saying we weren't taught this, we did it by ourselves. Okay, so it's very good for skill development as well. Let's see. Here.
Sir, my question is, the idea behind everything is excellent, right? But how far all the schools in India are going to accept it in CBSE, if you talk about it? Because I know the research is very important, right? But will it be acceptable in the CBSE, ICSE or say IB board?
Well, I mean, we have two options. One is whether CBSE or ICSE or whoever it is looks at all of this and then says, yes, we need to take some decisions. By the way, the one person who did call me and listened to the whole thing and made changes was Cambridge. They called me twice, not once. I don't know how much the changes are, but at least they listened. That's option one.